Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, May 12th, 2021. How you guys doing today? I've got my afternoon coffee, although I've been kind of rethinking my afternoon coffee. Not enough to not have it today, but I'm thinking about it. I'll talk about it in a second. First, I do want to say hi to everyone that's listening in on the podcast. Hope you guys are having a good run out there. We're having a good commute. And for everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully you're having a great day as well. Looks like we got some people here in the chat already. We got Philip says, yo, what's going on? No run today as a blister under my foot is against it. On the bright side, I'm supposed to get my first vaccine shot on the 24th. Awesome. Ooh, coming up. And hopefully this the prioritization doesn't change again. Oh, is there been? I'm not familiar with that. All right. Well, I've got my fingers crossed for you too as well, Philip, so that you get your shot as soon as possible. Mark Corp, what's going on, Mark? So he's taking a week break from running and I'm already missing it. At least I can do is binge Kofuzi. Yeah, there we go. You know, there's all these studies that say, like that are connecting not only visualization, because people do visualizations for like high level athletic performance, but also to say that there is some sort of physical benefit, a potential physiological benefit to watching exercise. So, I'm not saying, well, we're not going to exercise right now, but there maybe there's something to that. But if nothing else, Mark, you're at least here with other runners who can relate and can sympathize with you and empathize with you. You're in good company. Hopefully you'll be back to running soon. All right. Inez is here, says, hi, Kofuzi and everybody. A zone 2 run with Pip today after work after a good mountain bike ride last night. Awesome. Very cool. I have been watching a lot more mountain bike riding footage because I'm trying to do some recon on that Critter Trail race I got coming up. And I don't know. I might have to try and take that mountain bike. Well, it's in Iowa. It's at my in-laws' place now. But I might have to try and take that mountain bike out into some actual, now, not mountains. There aren't mountains in Iowa, but maybe in some of the hills and trails up there. Because that kind of looks fun. I feel like I would be constantly panting, like just winded the entire time. Just because I don't like uphills to run. I especially don't like them to bicycle up or to cycle up to bike up. Either way, but I don't know. Mountain biking kind of looks like it's kind of fun. Stevie76 is here, says, yo, what's going on? Good to see you again, Stevie. Spence Holmes is here as well. Mark Chen Coco says, hello, Kofuzi fan. Pete G1980. What's going on, everybody? Spence says, I'm so many meetings lately. I've been not able to join much. Miss y'all. Well, we miss you too, Spence. I know you dropped in a little bit, I think, yesterday. So, we're seeing you. So it's good to see you, but I'm glad you're here today. Not really. Hank Aaron says paperwork. He's got some paperwork to do. Brian Paul says, first week back in the office full time. And now there's a gas shortage. So we're going to be work from home for the rest of the week. Oh, that's crazy. I mean, there is a strange, irony's not the right word. But there's that whole situation is real strange. Really, really strange. I mean, there's that running joke, I didn't have Chinese rocket space debris falling from space, like that I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2021. Some dude at an energy company clicked a suspicious email when he clearly shouldn't have. And now the Southeast is under a gas shortage. Like that wasn't on anyone's bingo card either, I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. That is crazy. Hopefully you're able to, get through this gas shortage soon, and I hope that's going to end soon. What a crazy situation. DJ Cracker said, that's a funny name, says, good morning from sunny and warm California. Awesome. Welcome, DJ. It is a good morning for you over there, isn't it? Yeah. Albert Lung says, hello, friends. And PG1980 says, Kofuzi, I think I might buy the Nova S2 after watching your vid. It's really good this year, guys. I really like it. Part of me is like, I kind of wish they would have stuck to their guns with like the extra squishiness of it last year. But the other part of me is like this, like my that's what my heart says is like, I wish it stayed just as like quirky as it was last year. But my head is like, no, this is a better shoe this year. It's better. But I'm like, but I guess we'll just have to now. I mean, maybe it'll follow like the course of the Clifton where everyone's from henceforth going to be like, yeah, this new Nova Blast is good, but it's no Nova Blast 1. I'll tell you that. We'll see how that goes. Robert Hodge, what's going on? Robert says, what's up, co-fam? And he said he wanted to share a personal victory. Today I ran my first half marathon. Awesome. Congratulations. He said, check this out, guys. 1 year ago, I thought it impossible, but today I crushed it. Well done, Robert. Well done. That's awesome. That's so cool. So cool. Awesome. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Will Willing says, "Hey all, sitting here on the train at the Texas-New Mexico border. Wow. Now that's West Texas for you. I mean, that's as West Texas gets, right? I'm trying to think. I don't know the geography well enough to say that for sure, but I think so. All right, let's do one more. Sarah McKinney says, where'd it go? Hi, Kofuzi. Would you ever consider doing a ShoeTuber power panel with, say, Ed Bud, Heller, Believe in the Run, and Jamie to jointly debate or critique running shoes and gear? I think that'd be kind of fun. Jamie did that a couple of years ago, like at the New Year, like for like a end of year roundup. That was a lot of fun. And then the next year, we're like, "Are you going to do that again?" He's like, "No, man, that was so much work," and it was a lot of work to put together. Yeah, I think that'd be. I mean, I think it'd be fun. What I would love to see happen is like, I would love it if there were a smaller marathon that were willing to kind of like figure out a way to get us all together, and have us do something like that at like the expo. Like I really want to do that. Like I saw like for the time I met Matt Chittum in person, it's because he had something at the Houston Marathon. I think it was Houston Marathon, where he was doing a live podcast with Molly Huddle and Alexi Pappas. And it was super awesome. And I got to meet Matt Chittum. So like, and it's kind of weird because you're doing it at like the Marathon Expo, and like the vast majority of people have no idea who they are. And it's like super noisy with ambient noise because you're in a convention center. But like, I don't know, I just think that was kind of fun. And I mean, I'm sure like if you do that for a while, it turns into a grind pretty quickly. But I don't know, I'm kind of looking for speaking engagements. That'd be kind of cool. I'd like to do them in person. It'd be a good like segue into like a way of connecting like the travel running that I want to do, so in a more like logical way, I think, or it just would give more structure to it rather than me just like picking some random spots or picking some random races. If I had some sort of structure to that, I would love that. I've been getting some speaking engagements. Like, for example, I did like the Rambling Runner Summit earlier this year. And then it was not that long ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe. I spoke at the Prospect Park Track Club. And they invited me to speak to their group. They're still doing virtual kind of like track club meetings. So I got to talk to those runners, and that was super awesome. And so I would love to do like, I think panels are super fun. Yeah. I mean, I've been having this idea. I don't think anyone wants to do it, but like, I would love to do this idea of like my pet project is to try and get big enough that I can not only include running shoe tubers, but other shoe tubers. And I think I've told you guys about this before, but my big idea would be to like get a whole bunch of people and just like every year do a draft, kind of like that Chappelle Show episode with the draft. Yeah, so I would really want to do that. But like, so then you've got like the trail runner, like the road runner, the sprinter, and then like and everyone gets to pick. And I feel like, maybe as like a surprise draft pick, like the lifestyle shoe people, the hype beasts might draft like the Vaporfly, and as a road runner, I would draft the Vapor Max, that kind of thing. I think that'd be really funny. But I've floated that idea to both Thomas and to Jamie, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, if you can get some other people to do it, we'll do it." So no one ever really seems to like that idea. But I think it'd be a lot of fun. I just really want to talk about the Vapor Max some more. It's such a peculiar shoe. Strange. But like maybe that time has passed. Like today I was just thinking like, or yesterday I was thinking like, I don't know. I don't think I want to review the Ultra Boosts anymore. Just like, it's an uphill battle that I don't really have the energy to fight. In terms of, is this a real running shoe anymore? And now I'm not even using mine for running. I'm using it for walking the dog, So I don't know. All right. Kevin Bickerton says, "Hi, Kofuzi. COVID vaccine shots booked in. Awesome. First is Saturday with second shot booked 2 weeks before a 10K race." Ooh, that's a nice way to celebrate, Kevin. Awesome. Brian Paul says, "I think the gas shortage will be pretty short-lived, but people are freaking out and making it worse." I hope it's short-lived. It's a very peculiar situation. I mean, I'm familiar with gas shortage, right? I mean, we've seen it before. I experienced it this summer in the immediate aftermath of the derecho when we were in Iowa. And I mean, it was crazy, and it was a micro level. It was like maybe in a 60-mile radius. It was it was like impossible to get gas. It would take you hours to get it because people were using gas to fill their generators too. And so that was like the big deal. But because like the winds took all the power grid out, and the power grid wasn't going to come back up for like 4 or 5 weeks. So like people were legitimately concerned, but the gas supply like reestablished itself in like 3 days. But yeah, I don't know what the recovery is going to look like for this one in the Southeast. It's crazy. Let's see. All right, let's keep scrolling. Bia Johnson says, "Hey, Kofuzi, after that 50K training, have you reconsidered the waterproof jackets? It's like that all year round where I live in the UK." I mean, no, not really. That long. I mean, I was out in the rain for 3 hours on Sunday, and I have a feeling I'm going to have the exact same weather. Hopefully not as windy, but pretty similar weather this weekend for my long run as well. I think I'm going to have another Sunday long run. But no, not really. Cause I mean, I guess I was pretty cold, but I mean, maybe I'll I feel like getting the Gore-Tex out for 40 degrees might feel like overkill. And I really don't want to have like, I really don't want to be clammy and sweaty underneath. I mean, the biggest problem for me was, I mean, my upper body was fine. It was just my hands got so cold. And that made everything else cold. But that's always my problem. And my hands are always cold. So I don't know. I do have a pair of waterproof gloves, but maybe I'll try those. The gloves that I had were like water resistant, but like after 3 hours, they just couldn't keep up. All right. Dr. Josh, what's going on? It says, life hack for getting gas. Get gas early in the morning when the ground is cool and pump slow. When you do, you'll get more mileage out of that pump. I've heard that before too, like because of expansion and stuff. I've never actually tried that. But everyone seems to say it. Stephen Gersdorf says, in the 70s, we had rationing. You can only buy gas every other day depending on your license plate. Oh. Yeah, that's bizarre. That's very bizarre. All right, Zach Bag says, hey, Co, any tips on dealing with itchy facial hair? I'm not accustomed to the hair, so every time I decide to grow it out, I end up shaving it because it's uncomfortable. I don't have a ton. Mine doesn't get very full. So I guess I don't have too much of that problem. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, can you moisturize? Like put lotion? Maybe the skin is real dry. So maybe, does that help? I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. Preeti Goop says, elbow cough. Hey, please answer my question, Michael. Sorry, I missed it, Preeti. Let me go back and look for it. You know, sometimes I have to have you guys repeat yourselves, and I apologize for that. Hey, Kofuzi, can you recommend a time-based 40 minutes plus fartlek or repeats workout? So if you've got 40 minutes, I would say you're going to do 20 minutes of fartlek. I would do 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. So that's 3 into 20. You're going to do that 7 times. And then the last off is part of your cool down. So that's how I would do it. And for that fartlek, I would do that at threshold pace. Does that math work out? 14 plus 6 rests. Yeah. So that's what I would do. So then way you get 7. So you get 14 minutes of threshold work. That's not terribly long. I mean, my fartlek workouts are usually like are runs that are usually like I like to get like 40 to 60 minutes of fartlek total time. So 20 minutes is not a ton of time. So maybe for that one, I mean, you might want to do something that's closer to 5K pace, because that's going to be more of a VO2 max workout. So it's going to depend on kind of what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a threshold workout, that's going to change it. If you're looking for a VO2 max, then maybe, and then you have 20 minutes of work time that's available, then I would say maybe 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, and then run that at more of like 5K to 3K race pace. If you want that to be a threshold workout, you could just do like 2 15-minute sessions, like a 3 minute rest in between. That'd be a pretty tough workout for threshold work. So that's another way to do it as well. So it depends on kind of, I think, what you're looking to get out of it. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. But if you just want to go out there and have it depends again what you're training for. If you just want to get out there and have fun, you could do 2 minutes on, 1 minute off at like threshold pace for the on, and then maybe a little bit of a cruise for the recovery. So instead of like cruising at like recovering at easy pace, you're doing something more like threshold and a little bit slower than marathon pace. So you're still keeping the heart rate up pretty high. Because that 40 minutes is not a huge amount of time for a fartlek workout, in my opinion. That's where I feel like you could play around with some of the intensities a little bit. But the main thing I would look at is a 2 minute on, 1 minute off for 20 minutes total time, 7 ons. It makes most sense to me to make that a VO2 max workout. All right. Daniel Malouf says, hello from Brazil. Awesome. Hope I see you in Chicago, October 10th. I'll be here. People have been starting to ask me about like doing a shakeout run the day before or something like that. We'll definitely do something. I'm trying. I just want to make the last time we did it, it was awesome because we had a pretty big group, but it almost got to be like too big. So I might have to try to figure something else out. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but we'll definitely do some sort of meetup. The run makes the most sense to me, but I don't know. Maybe we would just meet. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll definitely do something, but like we gotta just make sure that we're not like if it's more than like 20 or 30 people, then it starts to get difficult to manage, and I'm just not good at that kind of stuff. All right. Stephen Gerzer says, are you going to run in the Lone Peak 5 for your 50K? Most likely. I got another shoe that I'm going to be testing out in the next like couple weeks that might also fit the bill. I'm more concerned about comfort than I am speed. So like, I briefly considered the CTM Ultra Carbon because I was like, that's going to be grippy enough, I think. And it's going to have a carbon fiber plate. And it's got a pretty aggressive rocker, so I feel like it could work. But I'm like, it's not that comfortable of a shoe. So I think that it's going to be something that's more like the Lone Peak. All right. Ian says, hey, Kofuzi. Was curious if you ever felt worried or anxious about losing any progress due to an injury, and if you have any tips. Yeah, I do. There was a long time. I'm still kind of worried about it. That like I never took off 2 days in a row. Like when I was like, I want to get back into fit, and I felt like I had like gotten a little bit of momentum. I was terrified of taking 2 days off in a row, even if I felt like I could benefit from it, because I was just like, once you take off 2, then taking off 3 is easy. And once you've taken off 3, then you've taken off 4, and that's more than half a week. And now you've just completely lost all your momentum. And so I had like a real not anxiety, I had a real nervousness about it. I guess still carries through to today. And like now, last summer, late in the fall, I guess, I had that problem with my knee after some really high mileage weeks. And I had to really pull back on my mileage and all of the intensity. Like no intensity was something I couldn't handle any of it. So I was doing a lot of biking. So I would think of like, if you're worried about losing progress due to injury, the things that I would think of are, I would say not aggressive, but like be insistent on trying to figure out ways that you can do stuff about it. So like whether that's doing a lot of research, consulting medical professionals, like make sure you're getting it taken care of, and not just what I did was I spent a couple of weeks just like kind of hoping it would get better. And that really didn't do much. So it wasn't until like I started thinking, okay, let's figure out what my problem is, and let's figure out things that I can do to correct that problem. And then things started getting better. So that's one. Another thing I would do is try to find other things that don't exacerbate your injury that you could do that will get your heart rate up. So those are things I would think about. Blixie wants to know, barefoot running, yes or no? I've never really done any barefoot running. I don't. Like the logistics are difficult for me. Like what do I do with my shoes? So I'm worried that like if I were to do it, I would come back and there would not be shoes there. So that's like problem number one. Is the logistical issues of it. And number two, like I'm sure I'm not doubting that it's helpful to some extent, like to like maybe once a week, spend some time doing maybe some sprints or some strides, something in the realm of drills that would be barefoot. I think that could be helpful, but it's not something that I'm incorporating in my routine at this time. Let's see. Will Wing says, how accurate is the polar verity sense? We record an average heart rate of 102 for 45 minutes, and the Garmin 245 said 117. I think that the Verity sense is very accurate. I would question whether the Garmin, if I'm looking at numbers and I think one of these numbers is off, my money's on the wrist-based sensor. That would be my guess. Mr. B says, hey, Co and everyone. It's early here, 11:20 a.m. Lols. What's going on, Beast? Good to see you. And Louis says, yo, what's going on? 450 miles on the Triumph 17. I think I need a new max cushion shoe. I mean, I don't think that's unheard of on that shoe. I mean, do you need a new one? I think you could probably, I mean, I don't know. I would be pretty ready for a new one personally, just because I like to refresh things frequently. But, I don't think that there's anything that you have to do it. But if your body's telling you need a new one, then get a new one. I mean, the Triumph 18 is good, but the Triumph 17, if you find another one, that's also good. Evan Blankenship wants to know, any word on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 2 release date? I thought I saw something that someone else had. I don't have any information on it. I thought I saw something someone else had posted. Maybe it was Ben Johnson. No, I think maybe TFXC. I think TFXC that said something about it that it would be June, maybe mid-June. So not that long. Scotty B says, hey, y'all, made some chocolate banana muffins today. My son has another baseball game tonight. Well, that's cool. That's awesome. Oh, man, I haven't watched baseball in a long time. I love watching baseball, any level, almost any level. Sometimes like the really young ones, it's great to watch if you have a relative that's playing. Otherwise, it's not so great. But other than that, I just like watching baseball. Mike Toporowski says, what's going on, Mike? Very non-elite runner. Do you see any value in the Stryd or running monitor? I have a Stryd. I like my Stryd. I run with it every single run. So I think there's a lot of value. There's value in two ways. One, I live in an urban area, so GPS is not reliable for pace or distance. And so the pace and distance information that comes from my Stryd FootPod is much more repeatably reliable to me. I mean, whether it's accurate, I don't know. Whether it's accurate, I don't know, but I get repeatable results. So it's wrong consistently if it's wrong. So there's that. The other benefit is from a training perspective, I prefer that to using pace, especially on days like today, for example. I had to work out Fartlek 10 times 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off at threshold power. And there wasn't a strong headwind. The weather forecast said there was going to be almost no wind, but there ended up being a little bit of a headwind for the last couple. And, if I was trying to do it based on pace, I feel like I would end up working a lot harder than I was intending to for those last few. So like, I really like having the Stryd FootPod personally. All right. KCA says, heading out for a run. Want to say hello. What's going on, Casey? Says, hope all is well and wearing my headband today. Awesome. I did a headband today too. James Blackburn says, is YouTube your full-time gig? My full-time gig is being a dad, a stay-at-home dad. I keep telling my wife that she needs to buy me a trophy husband t-shirt because it's lame if you buy it yourself. But I keep telling my wife she needs to buy it. And she's like, I'm not buying you that. So that's my full-time gig now. But I guess if you want to talk about it in, I guess, more monetary terms, yeah. Tony Vu says, "What's up, everyone? Double workout day today. 1 mile repeats plus weights. How's your plyometrics going? Your weights have been helping me, and I'm wondering if I should incorporate plyometrics as well." I think it's going okay. It's I'm feeling it. I don't feel it as much in my legs. I thought my legs would feel dead, and I was worried that it was going to really negatively impact my workouts. But I think part of it is that my legs are kind of trashed from higher mileage. So it's like, I don't know if it's like I'm doing like the workouts, but I'm just not getting much out of it because I'm already like maxing out on terms of the strain my legs can take on. But I'm feeling it a lot in my core. So like my core muscles are always really, really sore, and they have been since I started doing the plyometrics. So that's one thing, but I suppose that's good too, because then having a more stable core is going to help me deeper into certain endurance races. So I've been liking it. I do feel like the plyometrics are getting easier in terms of the things that I've been doing. So like, I feel like, okay, I'm doing them, I'm still doing them, and they're getting easier to do. So maybe we'll have to start adding some different plyometrics. I feel like plyometrics are something that are probably pretty quick to adapt to. And so I suspect that I'll need to be switching up the rotation of exercises pretty regularly, which is fine because I think there's lots of different ways to do, like even just like in the category of box jumps, there's lots of different ways to do that. So I'm not too worried about being able to create variety on that, but I really like it. I really like it. I don't know if it translates into running performance yet. For me, I suspect that it will, but I mean, it's been 2 weeks. And I feel like for me, workouts take about really 3 weeks for my body to catch up. I think I'm just slower on the uptake than other people. Most people say 2 weeks, but for me, it's more like 3, I think. So, Hidden Six Pack says, your running always seems to be so purposeful. Do you ever just go out for a run that is just for enjoyment? Yeah, I do all the time. Every easy run is just going out for fun. I mean, there's a weekly mileage goal, but since like April, I've had like either time trials or virtual races that are coming up. Getting ready for some in-person races. So things are structured now. But basically between like March 2020 and April 2021, there were no races. So it was just kind of a lot of easy running, a couple of threshold workouts here and there to test out shoes. But other than that, just easy running. I did my first 100-mile week, and then I had some very much not 100-mile weeks, so just a lot of running for fun. So it just depends. Depending on the slice that you get to see, it could make it look like, I'm either watch obsessed or whoop obsessed. I don't even have the whoop anymore. It just depends on what you're looking at. Certain things take longer to test than others, and there's cycles to it. Periodization, not just within training plans, but within the entire year. Matthew says, what percent of your runs are slow and easy ones, and what percent are intervals and tempo runs? I mean, I would say I shoot for about 80-20. So kind of like what I shoot for. But I also don't really look at it that closely. I don't do the math that meticulously. I do, right now, I'm doing 2 kind of quality sessions per week. Today's was a Fartlek session, where it was, 10 times 3. So 30 minutes of hard work. And then on the weekend, this quality session will be the long run, which I think will have probably a longer marathon pace effort. So I guess you're distinguishing between slow and easy, and then intervals and tempo. I guess that's in the middle, but I'll put it in like the hard category. So that'll be like, 16 miles out of about 75 for the week. So that makes, I don't know what the math is on that. 4, 5, 20%. Yeah. So 20% on the dot. So there you go. Yeah. So that's how I break it up. Next week, I'll probably have 3 quality sessions. That'll be my peak week for the 50K. The third one will be just a long run. That'll be session 3. I'm doing a marathon, an in-person marathon. So I'm just going to do it I'm just going to run 9-minute miles. and then maybe run a little bit faster at the end. But the goal is just get a lot of time on feet. And then the other 2 sessions, I'll probably do another Fartlek on Tuesday, and then maybe a longer threshold session on Thursday. So that's, yeah. Michael Wu says Black Rebel 2 is out on the New Balance website. Picking them up. I saw that today. And I said that I would, but I'm going to wait to see if someone will send them to me at this point. So I am getting another New Balance shoe sent to me, which I'm very excited about, which I could have either picked the Rebel 2 or this other one. And so I went with the other one. So that's going to bump it. I think you guys will be happy with that choice. But yeah, soon I might end up buying it myself just because like I really want to start comparing it to like the Liberate Nitro, and other shoes that are in that area. But like, so we'll see. And, I want to compare it to the Nova Blast as well. So there's lots of shoes that I want to start comparing that to, but there's a lot of time still left in the summer. All right. There's another one. Not really. Hank Aaron wants to know if I'm running the North Shore Marathon. No, I'm doing the Chicagoland Marathon out in the suburbs. Schaumburg, I think it's out there. I'm not sure. Let's see. Where's this one? Preeti Gupta says, how do you manage to stay so happy and satisfied and calm and contented always? Do you like meditate a lot? I don't really meditate a lot, but I'm glad that you think that I'm happy and satisfied and calm and contented always, because I don't always feel that way. But I guess I have I just experience. I've lived a while, I guess. I'm 41. Not to say that I'm old, but I'm not as maybe easily excitable as I was, say, 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. So like I guess I live my life on the internet. So like that is like hyperspeed, right? And so like you get a lot of stuff all at once, and like it just gets exhausting. And so it makes you kind of think about it. It kind of feels like like living your life on the internet kind of feels like training for a 5K or doing speed work on the track for the first time in a long time. When you start out, it just feels like you're dying, and your brain is like, we're hyperventilating. We're not getting enough oxygen. You're definitely not strong enough for this. We're pretty much dying, and you should stop. And that's the end of the first rep. And you get a short rest, and then you start rep 2. And your brain is now like, all right, this is still pretty terrible. I'm not sure if we're dying, but we probably are. And that's rep 2. And then rep 3, you're like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. We can do this. Right. And so after a while, like a lot of things just kind of like start bouncing off of you. And instead of you absorbing it, you just let it bounce and fall down. And who cares? So I think that's what it is. Is like, I'm not numb or callous. I try to step back and take things for what they are and not what they kind of like appear to be like sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. But that's kind of been my, like, more of my approach to stuff is, there's things that people say or things that happen. But there's what are people really trying to say and what's really going on is kind of what I try to understand. And there's a lot of people out there that are saying that, there's a difference between reacting to things and responding to things. And I think that kind of is a good approach. Try to slow down. And yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense? I'm not sure it makes sense. All right. Alexander Thompson said, hey, Co, ran my first ever half marathon race this week at 19. That's amazing, Alex. Ooh, very cool. I was 30, almost 30. I was 29 when I ran my first half marathon. So you got me by 10 years. That's great. How do you go? He says, how do you go about setting time goals for your next race? I would say like, that's something that you can decide, right? And so you look at it and you take kind of evaluate how you felt afterwards and what you want to do for the next time. Some people, for me, my first half marathon was 2 hours and 5 minutes. And I thought, if I run 5 minutes faster, I'll pretty much have accomplished everything that I need to accomplish in running. And so like my next half marathon, like I was just like, I didn't really have too much of a time goal, except I wanted to get under 2 hours. Right. And so the training for that wasn't all that structured. I kind of just ran. I was like, if I just run with more consistency, I'll be fine. And that was right. It's true. So it depends on kind of like how much you want to improve by and how quickly you want to get there. I didn't have a burning desire to improve my half marathon time. And so like I didn't make a structured training plan for it. But, it depends on, you look at where do you want to go, but also you need to look at like, what did you put in to get to where you are now? Right. So if you're like, I found out about this race 5 days ago and, I went for a run yesterday and the day before, and then I ran the race today and I did pretty good. Then, the goals that you might set for yourself will be like, all right, well, what if I actually trained for it? And I think that the thing to think about is, and it's really tempting because a lot of people do everything by pace. But one of the things that I'm thinking about, I'm helping my running buddy put together a training plan for his Chicago Marathon this fall, is he has a time goal in mind, which I think is very doable. It'll be like a more than 10-minute PR from his PR last year, or I guess 2 years ago now. But or it'll be 2 years by the time he runs this. But is to think about like, try not to think about the time goal. Think about the effort goal. What are the effort goals that you want to set? And you can control that every single week. And then the time ends up being whatever the time is. Right. And so like, it's more process oriented than result oriented. And so that's where I'm going to try to like kind of nudge my buddy. But at the same time, we'll be able to see like, what are the workouts he was able to nail and what are the workouts he struggled in. And we'll kind of have an idea of what his fitness is. So that way we can figure out where to line up at the beginning of the race. But like I'm going into it thinking, let's just figure out like, all right, here's the mileage he's been running. Here's what he's been doing. What are some workouts that are going to give him the right kind of training and benefit based on where he is that I can build off of and get him to the starting line healthy. So that's kind of one of the ways that I look at it. I don't know if I answered your question at all. Hopefully I did. I'm in a rambling mood today, I think. Sorry. Sorry, guys. All right. Alex C says, my first half was 2 hours and 25 seconds. The second I got home, I signed up for another half 2 months later out of annoyance. I would have been the same way. I would have totally been the same way. JJ says, what does your wife usually do to kill time during your races? I'm dragging my partner out for my race Saturday. And I feel like he's going to be bored out of his mind. Yeah, I stopped having her come out. She asks, and I don't know if she's like offended that I'm not like insisting that she come, but like, I'm just like, then you got to get the kids and you got to entertain the kids and stuff. So like, don't worry about it. I'll see you guys when I get home. The only race that they come to see me run is the Chicago Marathon. And that's because it runs right by our house. And the way it loops around, they could see me at like mile like 6 or 7 or so, I think. And then it loops back around. If they walk 2 blocks over, they could see me again in a couple miles. And so like that's the only one that I kind of have them come to see me run. The other thing that I would do is, I mean, if it's just your partner that's out there, then I would say like, depending on the length of the race, I mean, it's like if it's 5K, it's a little bit harder to do, but then, worried about killing time is not as big a deal. But like if it's a half marathon or a marathon, you can, unless it's a point to point, you can have them figure out, all right, well, so you'll see me off at the start, then go to mile 7, and then you'll have a really nice spot for me there, and then go to mile 13, and then go to mile like 16, and then 20, and then I'll see you at the finish. Like I feel like making it a scavenger hunt makes it a little bit more interesting for spectators. I know I really enjoyed that. And like, I remember seeing that at the marathon trials in Atlanta. And like from having watched that and experienced that as a spectator, to see the athletes on a loop course, you're thinking like, all right, they're running about like the men are running like 5-minute miles. The women are running a little bit slower than that. So like the next time I want to see them, if I go over here, I've got like 30 minutes, I'm just trying to figure out that. And like, trying like, how do I get there? I'm going to have to run a little bit. I might have to hustle to catch them at the next spot, and just kind of like ping ponging around this loop course was pretty fun. And lots of other people were doing it too. So it just felt kind of like very, much like an adventure. And so I really liked it. And that's why I'm thinking like, I don't know, like I'm really excited about like these looped courses for pros. Like I love the fact that pros line up on like road courses, the same road course that the non-elites will run in. But I'm also like, if this is going to become like a spectator sport, like, like there's sports like tennis and golf, for example, that have, I think, only relatively recently gotten to the realm of like professionalism where like people that don't play it at all will enjoy watching it and following it along. Right. I don't think that running is there yet. And I think part of that is the format, right? Like watching the way that they broadcast and commentate races, not that we don't have great commentators out there, but like the format of the race itself is just boring unless you know what's going on, unless you've done this sport and participated in it. And so I think that like loop courses that elites can go on where spectators can be inside like the ring and ping pong around and see the racers that they want to see. I think there's something really compelling about that. And I'd love to see more of that. I just don't know how you do that. We saw some of that during the pandemic, but I just feel like there's got to be ways to make it more interesting for people to watch if the sport wants to grow in terms of like being not a participatory sport only, which I think running is right now, and being a spectator sport. Mark says, usually the races that have a DJ that talks a lot and there's some booths for shopping, those are fun. Yeah, I think that a lot of them have like that, like the post-race area. I love those. That's where the beers are usually. And I like the post-race beers. That's, yes, like the camaraderie, meeting people is all great, but I also like post-race beers. That's fun for me too. Samuel Boy says, do you have any familiarity with groin injuries and rehab for them? I got injured in February and I'm starting to think that I may have torn my labrum. I don't have anything as serious as that. I used to have some issues with it in college when I was a pole vaulter. And for me, I just think it was typically like a jumper's injury, and something that would happen like deeper in the season, just kind of like, my body was just starting to fall apart from like the overuse, probably because I really wasn't taking care of it in the off seasons. But I never had any kind of tears. If you think you have tears, then you really want to make sure you get that checked out. So that way you can kind of address it properly, whether you need to rest completely or if it's something that you can kind of still do some sort of work. That's something you really want to know. So that's what I would recommend. All right. Carlos Storm says, I'm in a slump. I haven't really run in a month or two. Any recommendations to get back on track? Yeah, I mean, Carlos, I don't know if it's an option for you. Well, first I would say it's totally cool. It's everyone gets that, and so I wouldn't beat yourself up over it. But if you want to get back on track, I think that one of the things maybe is an option for you, depending on where you are. Maybe there's some in-person racing that is going to be available. And so just getting something on the calendar might give you the motivation to keep going. If you're like not on Strava or something like that, maybe that's something to think about. For me, like the weekly mileage number, I'm a little bit of a slave to it. I've talked about that quite a bit. But that's something that like can help me, even if I mess up like one day or even 2 days in the week. Maybe I like wasn't able to run on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday I was planning on running 6. I ran 3, so I feel like I'm real far in the hole. Then I know like, well, you know what? I still have the rest of the week to try and like salvage the week. So like think about your running in terms of weeks, not days. And, that gives you like a little bit more buffer in case like Thursday I messed up again. That's all right. Or I wasn't feeling up to it. That's all right. We'll get back out there Friday and the week will still look okay. So I think that might be one of the things. The other thing that I would recommend is, again, if it's possible, find a running buddy, someone you haven't seen or run with in a while. Maybe you can meet up with them and make it about the social aspect of it and not so much the running aspect of it. And if either of those things aren't options for you, just get outside, walk a little bit, if that's what it takes, or just be outside, and get back into the habit of the time commitment. And hopefully some fresh air will help kind of like make something click again that you'll want to get back into it. And if not, maybe hop on a bike. I got a longboard recently. That's a lot of fun. So just find some other way to get out there and be active. And, maybe that's running. And if it is, awesome. If it's not, also awesome. But just make sure you're getting out there and not just feeling like you're in a slump and staying at home all the time. Hidden Six Pack says a spectator incentive is have something that's chasing the runners. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, I mean, like, I think you're joking. But like, if it's like kind of like maybe elimination miles, people keep talking about there should be more elimination miles, but maybe like have someone at the back, and if the person in the back like that starts later catches any of the runners, they're out and they don't get to finish. Maybe something like that. That might be interesting. But then I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on the weaker runners. You know, I don't know. Yeah, Marjango wants to know like velociraptors. I suppose they have that for like augmented reality, right? So you could see like dinosaurs chasing people or zombies chasing people. That might be fun. I see those like running at the bulls. Do they still do that? In Pamplona, is that where it is? I don't know. It seems like a terrible idea to like still be doing that in like 2021 or like in the 21st century. But I guess it's something that they still do, right? Jace here says, "Happy Wednesday." Any plans after Chicago Marathon? Yes. So after the Chicago Marathon, that's when I'll be kind of like buckling down and trying to make a sub-3 attempt. Hopefully, I'm feeling great, and I'll be in a position to do that for CIM, and that's in December. And then Shannon was saying that like the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon and Half Marathon is like exactly in between Chicago and CIM. So that might be a nice way to make a little trip and down to Indy, do a half marathon or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I'm also like, I've done Indianapolis before. Maybe there's another race in November that I can do. That's like a half marathon somewhere in a state that maybe I haven't been before. So that's kind of something I'm thinking about. Stephen Gersdorf says, "What shoes did you wear to run with the Bulls?" I mean, isn't there like a specific shoe? Like I know there's like you wear the white and then the red handkerchief, right? And then I thought it looked kind of like a Tom's. Like isn't there like a white like slipper loafer thing that you have to wear? I don't know. Stephen Gerder says, "I nominate Coda live stream from the Running of the Bulls as a participant. Take your lone peaks." I bet you someone's done that before. You don't think that someone's done that? I guarantee you someone's done that. I bet if you looked it up now, you could find someone like running, like holding a GoPro with like bulls right behind them. If not, and there's a such thing as that still exists. I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll do. Yeah. The thing if I did that though, I'd be so terrified. I'd be the person that jumps and like hides on the fence. When they like jump up and like, then they like try to let the bulls like squeeze by. I don't know. CV76 says like I'm running of the Bulls FKT. I bet you some of those people up front are super fast, but I also feel like they don't like even if you could outrun the bull real quickly because like maybe all the bulls slip on the cobblestones or whatever and you could outrun them. I feel like they slow down because that's part of like you're like it's not so much that you're running away from the bulls, you're like luring them into like I want to call it the gladiator ring, but that's not the right word for it. Right? So I don't know. I'm not sure. Alexander Batison says, "Any thoughts as a carbon shoe for a main/daily trainer, e.g. the Magic Speed?" I'm not sure that the Magic Speed is intended to be a daily trainer. I think it's supposed to be more of a speed day shoe, kind of like the Zoom Fly with a tempo next percent or like a Hyperion tempo, although that one doesn't have a plate. But the Deviate Nitro is more of a daily trainer and it does have a carbon fiber plate. And I've been thinking a lot about that shoe, and I don't really like it for like a main everyday shoe, but like anytime I have like a long run that's not necessarily going to be fast, or if I have a longer day that maybe has like maybe marathon pace or slower in it, that shoe starts to make a lot of sense. Or if it's just a long run with no speed, but just really long, and you just want a little bit of help when you're like on your feet for 3 hours, then that shoe makes a lot of sense. And I like it for that. But like, I don't necessarily have a problem with the carbon plated shoe to run in every day. I know some people are like opposed to the concept. I think it'll depend on the thickness of the carbon, the shaping of the carbon, like the angle of the carbon, and whatever other foam it's in, like the carrier foam, as to whether it makes sense or not. So, I mean, I think it's fine in the right implementation, but like I'd say the closest to like an everyday shoe that there is that you can run in like every day that's carbon plated, I would say would be like the DV8 Nitro, maybe like the Zoom Fly, and then the Artist also is one that I feel like you do that as well, and the Fuel Cell TC. That shoe is really underrated. I've been really underrating that shoe, but I need to run in it again to run mine myself. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but those are some shoes that I would think of. All right, let's do one more. Let's get one from Oliver. What's going on, Oliver? He says, we've been running for 5 months, 20K mileage per week. It's a funny phrase, 20K mileage per week, because no one ever says kilometrage. Anyway, I digress. 20Ks per week. 5K is at 8:10 per minute average. I find that my easy pace is around 9 minutes per kilometer. Am I going too slow? How's your paces and distances when you started your journey? When I started my journey, I was no one wore GPS watches. This would have been back in 2010. So I guess they existed, but people really weren't using them. So I had no idea how fast I was going. I had no idea how far I was going, except for the fact that I would then like use like Map My Run or similar tool to like map how far I went and get an idea of like how far stuff is. But I think that generally I was running my easy days. I didn't really have a good conception of easy days. I was just going out there and running all the days like kind of moderate. So those days I was running probably anywhere between like 9 to 11 minute miles. And during my marathon training block, and that I was probably doing maybe 30 miles per week. So a little bit more than that. So I would say that easy pace, if you're not going to use like a heart rate monitor or like a power meter, the way that you would figure out easy pace is if you could have a conversation while you're running. Like if you were running with a friend, could you run with a friend and still talk about stuff at that pace? When you're done with, or another way to think about it is when you're done with that run, do you feel like you can run some more? Then you're running kind of an easy pace. If you feel like, oh, I could run this again tomorrow, that's another sign that you probably ran like pretty close to an easy pace. So like at 9 minutes per kilometer, I'm not sure what that translates to in miles per minute, minutes per mile. I mean, it seems like you could probably go a little bit faster than that, but I feel like, at this point, been doing it for 5 months. I would focus not so much on what your daily average pace is, but what I would focus on is like being able to maybe add another amount of time, a little bit of, I'm about to lose my camera, add maybe like 10 more, like another like couple of minutes at the end of each run, or adding another day of running per week. And so that's kind of like where I would focus on is getting more runs and more time, and worry about that. And then the rest of it will kind of take care of itself. When you feel like you can run faster, you'll run faster. So I really wouldn't worry about that pace too much at this point, and just keep going. You're doing great. Awesome job. All right. Rain Runner says, Martha says hi, and she's on vacation in Mexico. I thought she was just going to San Diego. She's going all over. Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks for the update. Glad to hear that. All right. I think that that's a good place to leave it for today, guys. Tomorrow, I'm going to be the video will be kind of like come along with me for the workout for the fartlek that I did for today. So that'll be tomorrow's video, and then it'll be Thursday. So happy hour time. Bring your recovery beverage of choice, and I'll see you again here at 1 p.m. Central, same time as today. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.